week 9 of the fantasy baseball season. Here's a few prospects I would watch and possibly add this week. So this season, a lot of prospects have come up, especially the last couple weeks. We've seen top prospects come up throughout the major leagues, especially number 5 prospect overall, Colt Emerson, called up from the Seattle Mariners, is the bigger prospect called up this week. And AJ Ewing, a guy who's in the top 50 from the New York Mets, on the prospect list. So these guys are getting called up quickly to the major leagues, and here's a few that I think could be up sooner than later as well. First is River Ryan of the Los Angeles Dodgers. So we know Blake Snell, he went on the injured list with an elbow injury. He got surgery. He's going to be out at least a month and a half possibly, is Blake Snell. And as of now, Eric Lauer, who they made a deal for, they're actually going to put him in the rotation and start next week versus the Rockies for this Los Angeles Dodger team. But River Ryan, he's a guy, we've seen him in the majors have a cup of coffee, but obviously last season was a lost year for him where he's coming off injury as River Ryan. He's back in AAA as River Ryan, and he looked good in his return for this Dodger team. And if he could get called up, obviously that's a guy you want on your roster, especially for this Dodger team. He's the 81st prospect overall in Major League Baseball. He is already 27 years old. Like I said, injuries have held him back. And so far, 3 games started in AAA this season for the Dodgers. 4.09 ERA, 0-0 record, 14 strikeouts in 11 innings, a 1.27 whip on the season. So River Ryan, we know he's got good stuff. Last time we saw him in the majors was 2024 with the Dodgers, where he was 1-0 in 4 games started, a 1.33 ERA in 20 in the third, and 19 strikeouts. He's got good K stuff. Like I said, he's a guy that's starting to build it back up. We missed all of 2025 with the injury was River Ryan. And this Dodger team, I don't think Eric Lauer is all of a sudden just going to turn things around right away and pitch well, even with a great offense backing him. So with those factors and Ryan starting to get his innings up, and now 3 starts under his belt in AAA, he could be up sooner than later, and he's available right now in tons of leagues at 89%. Next prospect, Cade Anderson of the Seattle Mariners. Now he's the number 1 prospect in this Mariners system, with Colt Emerson just called up. The number 7 prospect overall in Major League Baseball is Cade Anderson, and he's been on this list over the last few weeks because he's moving up the ranks in fantasy baseball, where coming into the season, he wasn't even top 20 on the minor league. The top 100 prospects is Cade Anderson. But like I said, down there, even though he is in AA with the Mariners team, 3-0 record, 1.85 ERA, 7 games started in 34 innings and 51 Ks. So he'll be up to AAA sooner than later, or possibly they might just call him up to the major leagues, even though we know this rotation is pretty solid, obviously. Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Brian Wu, Bryce Miller just returned to the rotation. Castillo's having a down year, but I just named 6 guys in that rotation that are having good seasons, and it's going to be tough for Cade Anderson to crack this Mariners rotation unless they sell one of those pitchers off for a bat. Well, we know the Mariners need another bat in that lineup, and we saw they called up their top prospect, Colt Emerson, and they're not scared to call up prospects in Seattle. So Anderson, he's dominating in AA right now. I think they're going to want to see him a little bit in AAA before they call him to the major league roster, but it wouldn't be surprising if he's up in the major leagues maybe by July is Cade Anderson, and he's available in 91% of fantasy leagues. Next prospect, Edwin Arroyo of the Cincinnati Reds. Arroyo, 100th prospect overall in Major League Baseball, number 3 prospect in the Cincinnati Reds system, and so far he's on a tear in AAA, and he's going to be up sooner than later, and he could play second and shortstop, even though Matt McLain's been playing better of late at second base for the Cincinnati Red team. And obviously De La Cruz, they're locked in with him at shortstop. So on the season in AAA for Arroyo, 9 home runs, 30 RBIs, 8 stolen bases, a 348 average, a 411 on base percentage, 37 runs scored, and a 10-12 OPS. So he's tearing it up in AAA, and I think he's done everything you can, is Arroyo, where last season he had a solid year in AA. He passed over there. His power numbers have gone up, where last year he only hit 3 home runs in 120 games in AA, and already 9 home runs, where he's found his power in AAA. So this Red team, like I said, they could use another bat in their lineup as well. We've seen Sal Stewart have a good rookie season for them, where they called him up last season. And Edwin Arroyo, like I said, he's in AAA. I know second and short up blocked a little bit for the Cincinnati Red team, and that's why maybe they're not going to call him up. But like I said, I think he's going to be up sooner than later. at 22 years old, and he could add the spark to the Cincinnati Red team. And he's available right now, 92% of fantasy leagues. Next prospect, Thomas White of the Miami Marlins. So it looks like White's going to be up this week or early next week, the latest, for this Miami Marlin team, where they just called down Braxton Garrett, where he struggled in 2 outings. Robbie Snelling, who's one of their top pitcher prospects, he hurt the elbow, and we'll see what that diagnosis is going to be, where it's not looking good, I think, where he's going to visit a surgeon and he possibly could be out for the year. And Thomas White, so far this season in AAA, I assume he's going to be the next man up, with Garrett called down to the minors and Snelling out. 0-3 record, 4.01 ERA, 7 games started, 24 2/3, 35 Ks, 1.46 whip. So he's got electric stuff, is Thomas White. 14th prospect overall in Major League Baseball, number 1 prospect in the system for this Miami Marlin team, and he's the 3rd pitching prospect overall in Major League Baseball. So he's got good stuff. He's Thomas White, another lefty, which is always a big thing in the major leagues, and he's also a towering lefty at that, at 6'5". 240 is Thomas White. And this Marlin team, like I said, they got an opening now in the back end of the rotation, and he got scratched from his latest minor league start. So like I said, I think he's going to be up any day now. He's definitely someone I would go out on the waiver wire and add out there. 94% of fantasy leagues, and even on some other websites list, he's the top pitching prospect in all Major League Baseball. So he's got good K stuff, a lefty, which obviously we don't see a lot of great lefties nowadays in Major League Baseball. And Thomas White, definitely someone to get on your roster. And like I said, it's surprising to me he's still out there in 94% of fantasy leagues. And a final prospect I would watch is Jonah Tung of the New York Mets, out there in 95% of fantasy leagues. And it looks like he's going to come up tomorrow, where he got scratched today from his minor league start, is Jonah Tung. And we know the Mets, they need a starter for tomorrow's game, where obviously Clay Holmes, he's went down with injury. Zach Thornton's getting the call today for this New York Mets team, and Tung's the number 1 prospect in this New York Mets system. Last season, he moved up quickly in the ranks in their minor league system, and then he made the majors last year, where the Mets needed pitching desperately in August, and he didn't look good at all. 5 games started, 2-3 record, 7.71 ERA, 18 2/3, 22 Ks, and a 1.77 whip. And so far this season, he struggled in AAA as well. 1-3 record, 5.68 ERA, 9 games started, 38 innings, 55 Ks, a 1.37 whip. So strikeouts are going to be there for Jonah Tung. He's got a nice rising fastball that hitters can't catch up to, but his secondary pitches have been a problem for him. But now I think he's going to get a real look in this Met rotation, where the Mets now, in the last couple weeks here, they've called up their prospects and want to get back in the hunt. And we know it's too early to go out there and make trades in May, where teams usually sell off end of June, and obviously at the end of July when the deadline's up. So Tung, he might get an extended look. And this Met team going with a lot of youth in that rotation. Obviously Nolan McLean, Christian Scott, he's pitched a little bit for them over the last few weeks. Zach Thornton pitches today, and now Jonah Tung looks like he's going to come up tomorrow. So in deeper leagues, definitely someone I would add. Like I said, he's still one of the better pitching prospects in the Major League Baseball, even though he's dropped down the rankings after he struggled in the majors last season and have struggled so far in the minors. But he's the Mets' number 1 prospect, and I think they're going to give him a long leash here, where they don't really have any other options for the most part, is this New York Met team. And he's someone, like I said, he's going to give you strikeouts, but him working on that secondary pitch and his location is going to be key for Jonah Tung, and we'll see what he could do with this Met team. But like I said, it looks like out of this list this week, Thomas White, he's going to be up one of these days starting, where Braxton Garrett got called down, and it looks like Jonah Tung is going to be starting in tomorrow's ball games. That's a few prospects I will watch and add some of these guys for week 9 of the fantasy baseball season.